Ahead on NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We'll visit with 7 families who make conservation a priority on their farms and ranches as we highlight the 2015 winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award.
And now, a special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. Protecting and improving the environment has long been the focus of America's foremost land stewards, farmers and ranchers. The 2015 Regional Environmental Stewardship Award winners were announced last year during the Cattle Industry Summer Conference right here in Denver. The 7 regional winners are all dedicated to maintaining and improving their lands to ensure that they are productive for future generations. Today, we'll get an up-close look at each one of these regional winners in 7 very different parts of the country. We begin with a visit to our Region 1 winner in Virginia.
In the Shenandoah Valley of Northern Virginia, Valley View Farms has family history going back more than 100 years. Today, Mike and Susan Phillips work together, caring for the cattle that graze the steep, rolling hills of their 310-acre farm.
I run a cow-calf operation and I background those calves, meaning once they're weaned, I'll background them into about a 7-8 weight. Everything is a forage base. I wouldn't call myself an intensive rotational grazing, but I'm pretty close to being intensive.
It's a family operation. It's been in Mike's family for several generations, and so we do it ourselves. That's why we went to rotational grazing, in order to be able to do it ourselves and be mostly hands-on with the cattle.
In addition to rotational grazing, Mike uses a mix of no-till seeded forages and cover crops to keep his cattle grazing nearly year-round. And he's passionate about protecting and improving soil health.
The hat that I wear on my head says the soil was meant to be covered. When this land was created, it was covered. It's meant to be covered. I want to follow exactly what the hat says. And I try to preach that to people, keep something on that ground all the time to protect it.
Mike's passion for the soil began with his father, now retired, who had to take over working the farm at age 12 when his own father passed away. From the start, Mike's dad wanted to restore land that had been badly eroded.
And that soil erosion just bothered my father. He hated erosion.
Together, Mike and Susan have spent much of their lives working to stop soil erosion, starting with conservation plans that began when Mike took over the farm more than 35 years ago.
It had erosion problems, and Mike and I stood here and talked about how he might work to slow that erosion down. Seeing what he's done with this since that time, I see that he's reduced erosion drastically from where it was in 1978.
Another major challenge here is controlling water runoff. Not far away is the Shenandoah River, which ultimately leads to the Chesapeake Bay. So Mike has installed watering systems throughout his 22 grazing units and fenced his cattle out of the creeks.
All the sensitive areas, streams, wet areas, sinkholes, they have all been totally excluded, some back since 1986.
Mike has also fenced cattle out of wooded areas, planted trees, and set aside a portion of his land as wildlife and pollinator habitat. He not only cares for his own land and cattle, but also works off the farm as a technician for the USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service.
This connection between somebody's asked me, are you a full-time farmer or full-time NRCS? I said, I'm both.
The biggest advantage of Mike having an active, dynamic farm and working with NRCS is that he has credibility with the farmers. Farmers love him. They say, hey, this guy's doing it. He's not just talking about doing it.
Grateful to those mentors who have helped guide him, Mike is committed to sharing his knowledge with others. He's opened Valley View Farms to a wide variety of students, tours, and research projects.
This is my way of repaying my debt to my mentors, is doing what they did for me, given the commodity of time. You can read the books, but this is my classroom right here. And this is where, you know, you can kick the dirt, look at each other face to face.
Whether it's protecting the soil, trying new cover crops, or even restoring their historic bank barn with timber harvested on the farm, Mike and Susan are committed to making Valley View Farms a leading example of the never-ending effort to improve the care of the land.
Our legacy will be that we tried to do things the right way. We feel that these acres here are ours just for a short time, and that we are simply passing through, and God has given us this to take care and to bring it up to a better standard.
My father took it from this level to this level, and they were able to me to take it to this level. And I want the next person that takes here, take it to the higher level. I want to keep pushing it better. Right here, when you protect that ground right there, it'll take care of you. You feed her, she'll feed you.
NCBA members are helping make a difference in the environment every day. To join them as a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit the website beefusa.org. Ahead on NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll take you to a historic Texas ranch, which has been owned by the same family since it was founded in the mid-1800s, and see how one Iowa family has transformed their land over the years, all to benefit the cattle and wildlife. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is yours, and so is what grows there. Not theirs or theirs, yours. You need this to fight this and this to grow more this. Because the more of this you feed them, the less this you spend on that, which leaves more of this here. Don't let them take this from you. Chaparral takes care of weeds and brush, and that's that.
What does it mean to be dependable? It means you do what you say you'll do time and time again. Because performance isn't optional, and your task is essential. For over 95 years, we have proven ourselves to be the most dependable choice. That's why the cattlemen of this great nation trust Ritchie to provide fresh water on demand. Ritchie, proud to be a partner to the American Cattlemen since 1921.
Welcome back. When it comes to environmental stewardship, there are all kinds of challenges cattle producers face as they work to care for the land and to leave a legacy for future generations. One by one, we're featuring the regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Awards. And now, let's head to Region 2 and meet the winning family from Florida.
You'll find Bull Hammock Ranch in the Treasure Coast region of southern Florida. The Carlton family has been in the Sunshine State since the 1870s and today owns and operates more than 30,000 acres of ranch land.
Bull Hammock Ranch is a commercial cow-calf operation. We run predominantly Beefmaster cattle. We do some terminal cross to Charolais and to Angus. The Beefmaster heifers are our mainstay. They produce very good mama cows.
The operation is very family-oriented. I've been helping since I was little. My brother, Wyatt, he's been helping since he was little. My aunt, her kids, her husband, it's all family-operated and owned, and we enjoy every single minute of it.
Bull Hammock is located just minutes from several environmentally sensitive waterways, including Lake Okeechobee, and it is one of the few places that can provide water storage and enhance water quality before it passes on to nearby urban areas.
A lot of the water west of this place here comes onto us, and the majority of the water from the south comes through us. So we have to take on quite a bit of water. So it's a constant battle with, pumping water here or trying to get water off here and just mainly controlling the moisture in the soil.
Over the years, Bull Hammock has worked with several local and state agencies such as NRCS, to make the ranch a showcase for water storage. The Carlton family has implemented 2 innovative projects to keep excess water on the landscape. The first is a water farming project, where a former citrus grove is being used to store and treat excess water that would normally be released to nearby canals.
We can store it in there, run it through the whole system, which if it's dirty water will help clean it, and then we can release it back to the ranch.
In addition to the water farm, the Carltons restored and rehydrated a wetlands area, which is also used for water treatment and storage.
We've actually rehydrated about 1,600 acres of wooded marshland that had been previously drained back in the 40s. Us storing this water, it provides habitat for the animals that have been displaced because of the urban development. All the wading birds, the deer, all these developments were once on land that was just like this. It was full of deer and wildlife. So what we're doing at least gives them a home.
Wes has always been right there working with water management districts, county governments, federal government, all these things to help make his property better, but not only his property, but the cattle industry itself in Florida.
Bull Hammock has also installed rotational grazing systems to reduce stress on the grasses in the pastures and help maintain optimum forage.
Number one, we're a grass farmer. That's what we do first, is grow grass or grow forage for our cows. We have very, very good land. It's very rich soil that provides us the opportunity to have really, really good grazing year-round.
Every day, the Carlton family works to implement conservation practices that benefit their cattle and all the natural resources under their care. Across the generations, the commitment to stewardship on Bull Hammock Ranch has grown stronger.
For what my great-grandfather, my great-great, my granddad, and as well as my dad, what all they've done, it kind of makes me want to do just as good, if not better, if I can. And I feel it kind of pushes you to do the best that you can, and it's always in the back of your mind.
I don't think this place is just a tradition. I think it's more of a passion. It's been in my family for years and years and years, and I plan to keep it that way. We plan on being here and keeping this operation going, and I would like to show my kids this one day and explain to them what we do, why we do it.
What I'm proudest of from a stewardship standpoint, I guess, is just the ability to continue what my grandfather and my dad started, and we try to improve every day. My hope for the future of Bull Hammock is that it can continue improving and provide a way of life for my kids and their families. I look at it as my watch, why it's under my watch. My biggest thing is I want to leave it in better shape than I got it.
With every one of these operations we visit, there's a common theme, the goal of leaving the land better than they found it. Now, we head to Region 3 to meet the winning family from Iowa.
A sea of grass covers the hills on the Rao Ranch in southern Iowa. Here, the grass and the Angus cattle are thriving as a result of the hard work of Glenn and Bev Rao, who built this operation together.
We first started this ranch down here, bought it in 1997. Originally bought 427 acres, and since then we've expanded to about 1,000 acres.
We're in good old Iowa tall grass hill country, and lots of grass out here this year because we've had a lot of rain.
We're in basically southern Iowa, right on the Madison-Union County line, and it's rolling to gently sloping land, very marginal crop ground, good pasture ground, good hay ground. That's what we aim to do with it. It's mostly have hay and pasture use for it.
For nearly 3 decades, Glenn and Bev worked their 4th-generation family farm and feedlot in Dallas County, about 50 miles to the north. But as their sons returned home to take over the original family farm, Glenn and Bev founded this new cow-calf operation on land that was in dire need of attention.
There were a lot of cedar trees out here, a lot of junk trees, and we've cleared it and we've seeded, and the natural grasses or native grasses have come up through the seeding and stuff, and it's made a lot more pasture land for the cows out here.
When we bought the land, most of it was overrun with thistles and locust trees, cedar trees, very little grass on it. What grass there was fescue and everything. Part of it had been farmed for a year, had soybean stubble, which didn't amount to too much, and it actually made it a little easier to put new seed in. But it was a challenge. It's a challenge every day.
Glenn and Bev have met those challenges with action. They've been aggressive in spraying to eliminate thistles and other weeds in their pastures. They've continually reseeded to improve their grasses, and they've implemented a rotational grazing program managed with solar-powered electric fencing.
Our rotational grazing, I think, is just a tremendous benefit to the forage production of this part of the country because of the availability of something new for these cattle rather than be turned out in the whole pasture.
Key to the success of their grazing program is water. Working with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, Glenn has installed several miles of pipeline to bring clean, consistent rural water to the cattle.
He's seen a benefit in the rural water systems that provide a high-quality water source that's cool, it's algae-free, and it's pressurized, where he can place watering tanks throughout the pasture system without any concern for the system to be gravity fed.
Also, the rural water that we use has improved our conception rates and I think weaning weights, and also improved the body condition score of all our cows by helping have a little cleaner water.
Glenn and Bev have transformed nearly every acre of their land. They've planted hundreds of trees around their home and dedicated 40 acres as a wildlife refuge. While the vast majority of their land is in grass, about 250 acres grow no-till corn and soybeans, which the cattle graze in the fall after harvest. And they've fenced cattle out of the farm ponds and added wide buffer zones to filter water that flows to the creeks.
Water looks much better as it's leaving our land than when it came onto our land. And I think it's because of all the waterways that we've installed and keeping the cows out of the streams and out of the ponds and things like that, and I think it's improved it a lot.
With an eye for every detail, Glenn and Bev are passionate participants in the beef cattle industry, committing their life and legacy to a land they love.
This was our goal, and I guess we're living the dream now, and it's so great to have our sons and our daughter-in-laws and our grandchildren that all enjoy the livestock and the rural life and our lifestyles here.
My environmental legacy is we hope to leave it much better than we got it, and we hope that someone will carry on, hopefully our kids or grandkids, and keep cows out here instead of plowing it up and farming it again.
Our thoughts, Bev's and mine both, is that there's no question that you do the right thing. You know, if you've got a bad spot in a field or a bad fence or something like this, you fix it. You know, you don't just let it go, you just don't let it ride, you just don't think, oh, maybe tomorrow. You take care of it, and that's what we've tried to do. But it's also the way that a good steward would take care of the land and the cattle.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about the Environmental Stewardship Award, see photos and videos, or learn how to apply for the award, visit the website environmentalstewardship.org. We'll be right back.
Long range, huh? Says here in a weight gain trial of calves on cows, parasite control with long range outperforms Cydectin and Safeguard dewormers combined by as much as an extra 40 pounds per head. I wonder what that'd feel like.
Do not treat within 48 days of slaughter. Not for use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older, including dry dairy cows or in veal calves. Post-injection site damage such as granulomas and necrosis can occur. These reactions have disappeared without treatment. You have a lot to gain with Long Range.
It's the official monthly publication of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The National Cattleman is produced exclusively for NCBA members and includes coverage of the news and events affecting our industry. Every issue includes market analysis, feature stories, and practical management tips. Start receiving your copy of The National Cattleman. Call 866-USA-BEEF or go online to beefusa.org and join today.
Welcome back as we continue our look at the 7 Environmental Stewardship Regional Award winners for 2015. Each of these families face their own unique challenges based on things like geography and the weather, But they all share a desire to leave the land in better shape for future generations, while also inspiring the next generation of land stewards. We now visit the Region 4 award recipients from Texas.
With a full moon overhead, the cowboy crew gathers at the chuck wagon on the 4 Sixes Ranch. As dawn breaks, they catch their horses, saddle up, and ride out. Together, they round up cows and calves and bring them into the corrals for sorting and branding. It's a tradition that began more than 140 years ago on this historic Texas ranch.
The ranch was started in 1870 by Burt Burnett, founded this ranch. The legend is he won the ranch in a game of poker with 4 sixes. That's a really good legend and a really good story, but it's really not true. The truth of the matter is, when he started the ranch, he bought 100 head of steers that were carrying the 4 Sixes brand, and it was a really good brand, and so he bought the brand when he bought the yearlings.
Today, the 4 Sixes Ranch stretches across 160,000 acres, and it's still in the same family, owned by Burke Burnett's great-granddaughter, Ann Marion.
Ann spent a lot of time out here as a child. I've never met a person or an employer ever in my life who loves this ranch, loves the cattle and the horse industry, and loves her people the way that Ann does. She is the backbone and the driving force behind this ranch.
The 4 Sixes is known worldwide, not only as a historic Texas cattle operation, but also for producing top-quality American quarter horses for racing and ranch work. The care of the animals on the 4 Sixes Ranch is matched by the care given to the land. When fully stocked, the ranch runs more than 4,000 cows. But when 4 years of intense drought scarred the landscape, the ranch leadership made the difficult decision to move cattle off this land.
In 2011, we started into the worst drought that I have ever seen in my life, and a lot of the old timers said that it was a lot worse than it was the drought of the 50s. Our decision was not only to move the cattle to save the ranch and not hurt the ecosystem here, so that we could recover quicker. But the decision also was made to not let any employees go. We have second and third generation people work here because Ann is the type of employer that she is. She takes care of her people in good and bad times.
With record rains in May of 2015, the land is now greener than ever and the cows are back. But water is a constant challenge on the 4 Sixes. So they've built stock tanks to catch and store water for the cattle. And they've installed 120 miles of pipeline and solar pumps to feed water troughs. But the biggest challenge on this land is the battle against brush.
When I moved here 17 years ago, this was a mesquite and cedar thicket from fence to fence, 160,000 acres of brush. And Ann made the decision that she wanted to put this ranch back into production the way it would have been in 1870 when her great-granddad established the ranch. So she started a major brush control program and reclaiming the land. This ranch, when it was completely covered with brush, would run a cow-calf unit to 60 to 80 acres. We can safely run a cow-calf unit now, year-round, on 30 to 40 acres. So we have improved the stocking rate tremendously.
The ranch team has worked hard to mechanically remove invasive brush on more than 100,000 acres. The result is much more abundant forage and diverse prairie grasslands. But the brush removal has been done with an eye toward maintaining wildlife and quail habitat.
This is about as good a quail habitat as you're going to see anywhere in the country. And so really, when individuals know what they're doing as far as you're actually managing grass when you're managing cattle, which is both good for quail and cattle, you can see that they coexist really well.
Cattle have grazed the range on the 4 Sixes Ranch going back 140 years now. In that time, the tradition of care for the land and stewardship for the future has been passed from one generation to the next.
I think part of our responsibility as ranchers and as managers is not only to manage the land, manage the grass, manage the cattle, the horses, and the men, but we have a great opportunity to raise good citizens. I don't know of a better place in the world than to raise your kids on a ranch. proud of where we've been. I'm proud of what we've done, but I'm really looking forward to what we do in the future.
Help NCBA members improve the sustainability of this great industry by becoming a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit the website beefusa.org. We'll be back with more right after this.
There is a new world out there, revealing itself in unpredictable ways. A world that demands more from the land and those who grow, farm, and build on it. This new world calls for the ingenuity to get more out of it, while preserving as much as we can. After all, to stay ahead of tomorrow, we need to be equipped for it today. New Holland, equipped for a new world.
Well, I think a rancher has to be a steward of the land. There's nobody else that can take care of the land better than a rancher. When we switched over to the Purina products, it was a step in the right direction.
The difference we see in the cattle is the consistency of their nutrition.
The cattle hold their condition a lot better throughout the whole year.
It does make a difference that we can see, day in and day out.
Every day, cattlemen and women care for their land and their animals. They do so because they're committed to leaving what they have better than they found it. We're featuring the 2015 regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Now, let's head to Region 5 and the winning operation in Montana.
American Fork Ranch sits at the base of the Crazy Mountains in Montana. It was founded in 1882 and later purchased by Colonel Robert Stevens, who went on to become Secretary of the Army. Although American Fork is still owned by the Stevens family, Jed and Annie Evgene manage the day-to-day operation of the ranch.
We arrived on scene around March 1st, 1998. Was asked to come over and take over management of the ranch. The Stevens family took us in like family. And we are a big family. We're a team, and everything that we've been able to succeed in has been a team effort.
One of the first things Jed and Annie did when they got to American Fork was to get the Stevens family more actively involved in the work of the ranch whenever they came to visit.
Jed and Annie have worked hard to integrate all of us, and that has mattered, so that my cousin's kids, my brother's kids, all of them have a connection to the ranch that matters. They have been very proactive in engaging different family members and different generations of our respective families, and that's made a huge difference.
Grass and water are two priorities at the nearly 26,000-acre American Fork Ranch. They worked with NRCS to add 25 miles of cross-fencing, which divided very large pastures into smaller, more efficient grazing areas.
If you ain't got grass and water, you ain't got nothing. We couldn't have these happy cows if there wasn't grass and water. There was several spots on the ranch that was not being utilized, and one of our main sayings on the ranch is we don't like wasted space or wasted time.
When we moved here, the pastures were in very large areas, and we cross-fenced them just to make them a little smaller and be better for the cows to graze more evenly, and then we could move them on to the next pasture.
These cows and calves are moved every 7 days, so this group right here is a Monday group, so every Monday they get moved. My philosophy on moving them every 7 days is it gives that chance, and they won't be back into this pasture for 45 days. So that gives this grass a chance not to be totally utilized, but utilized enough that it stimulates it and really makes it healthy.
Water development has allowed for better grazing distribution within the pastures. Careful placement of stock tanks in upland pastures also draws the cattle away from sensitive riparian areas.
There's a few spots where no matter what you did, the cows didn't want to be up on top of the buttes or whatever. So we developed water and put water on top, and now the cows have stayed up there.
And when we've been able to develop water and put them in tanks, man, the dispersal of these cows has been phenomenal.
The changes here in the past 12 or so years are just absolutely amazing and very, very impressive. The land is much, much healthier now. The nutrient cycle, the water cycle, the energy cycle are all operating just wonderfully out here now. Tremendous improvements.
The improved condition of the ranch has benefited not only the cattle, but also the wildlife that thrives on the habitat here. Everyone involved in the American Fork Ranch has a deep reverence for the land and the livestock. The Stevens and Evgene families are working together to protect and improve all their resources, with Jed and Annie leading the way.
They've been crucial to this ranch to continue going on, but to continue going on in the best way, and to ensure that's going to continue on for my kids and our whole family.
I think it's very important to keep it up. It is a historical ranch in Montana, and it's a big history for the Stevens family also, and it's important for them.
Being able to walk out here or drive out here and see good healthy livestock, good healthy wildlife, clear running water, and lots of grass. We as a team work together to succeed in this.
You can learn more about the Environmental Stewardship Awards, including how to apply for the award, by visiting the website environmentalstewardship.org. We'll be back with more right after this.
Every truck can tow a boat. Every truck can climb a hill. Every truck can haul a trailer. But not everyone can say they're the fastest growing truck brand in America. Guts, Glory, Ram.
The 2017 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show is set for Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. It's the cattle industry's biggest convention with education, networking, and fun. Plus, you can check out the huge NCBA Trade Show, outstanding entertainment, and much more. Mosey on down to Music City for the 2017 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, February 1st through the 3rd. Visit beefusa.org for more.
Welcome back. Now let's take you to Nevada to see the Region 6 winner, who was also named National Winner of the 2015 Environmental Stewardship Award. We'll show you how they're producing high-quality beef while conserving and improving public and private lands. Let's take a look.
In the sagebrush country of northeast Nevada, the cowboy crew is gathering cattle on Maggie Creek Ranch. They're roping and branding calves on this ranch that was founded more than 100 years ago and was purchased by the Bill and Sally Searle family in 1975.
Such a personal thing for us, with my grandfather being gone, he really lives on through environmental stewardship and that heritage that he passed to us.
I think we've got, without a question, the best crew. Every branch will tell you that, but we really do. And the nice thing about it, we try to get couples, and then their kids have grown, a lot of the kids have grown up here, but they're just a wonderful bunch. They ride for the brand and they work very, very hard.
Really fortunate that I've got to raise a family here, and we've got a great place where my children can enjoy what I do and learn about what I do and learn about ranching, and Searle family has embraced that and looks forward to the upcoming generations working on the ranch.
John Griggs leads a dedicated team of employees who live, work, and raise families on Maggie Creek Ranch. They manage extensive irrigation and run their beef cow herd and stocker cattle on 200,000 acres. About 2/3 of the ranch land is owned, and 1/3 is permitted grazing on public lands.
We grow forage for our cattle and for the wildlife that we share the range with, 2 or 3 months out of the year, and then we have to bank that grass for the rest of the year. So it's a challenge to graze here. We have to move early and often in the spring, so that our goal is to have every plant reach seed head maturity, and we don't get there every year, but that's what we strive for. And so to do that, we have to move our cattle a lot in the spring.
Although unusual spring rains have made the ranch green now, drought and wildfires are a constant threat. To help the land recover from fire, the ranch team reseeds rangeland with grasses and forbs. Work to improve the watersheds on the ranch is another major accomplishment. The cattle on Maggie Creek Ranch have been fenced out of riparian areas.
With the changes that Maggie Creek Ranch has implemented in just their grazing practices, managing riparian areas as pastures instead of just all hot season grazing, we've seen vegetation come back, we're seeing stream banks stabilize, and that's all really good for the fish and wildlife that rely on those areas.
John has spent years building trust and working with a variety of partners to improve habitat for wildlife, including threatened and endangered species. One result is the installation of irrigation diversions and a fish passage to protect the Lahontan cutthroat trout.
That's on the actual Maggie Creek, and that stream is habitat for Lahontan cutthroat trout, so it's important that they're able to move up and down the creek. So I'm proud of the fact that we were able to put in, collaborate with partners, put in a structure that worked well for us, but worked for all of us.
I think the message that they have that's really worth sharing is that you can have all these values on the landscape. You can have fisheries habitat and wildlife habitat. You can have really a healthy ecosystem, and you can have a real sustainable ranching industry too.
Beyond stewardship of the land, the ranch and the Searle family have also connected with consumers to share the story of ranching and raising quality beef.
Social media has been really integral to be able to communicate that maybe to someone who would otherwise have no idea where their food comes from.
Whether it's managing forage, fostering partnerships, or telling their story, the Maggie Creek Ranch team is working every day to ensure this land is preserved now and in the future.
I think what we've started here should be continued on. Stewards of the land.
When you're talking about cattle, you're talking about a love of land, and when you're talking about my family, you're talking about a love of land. It's a total, complete circle of family and land and cattle and hard work and rough places but beautiful places, and I love it all. You can't pick a favorite.
Really happy about how the rangeland health's coming along, how our riparian values are improving. All that improves the value of the ranch as an asset and improves the value of the ranch as we the people that live here enjoy it, and I'm really proud of that fact.
Congratulations to the Maggie Creek Ranch, the national winner of the 25th Environmental Stewardship Award. Ranchers in Nevada and all across the United States are making a difference and protecting the environment. You can see their stories again and get more information by visiting our website, cattlemen-to-cattlemen.org. We'll be back with more right after this.
I'm an NCBA member because NCBA, they look at the facts, they look at the history, and they look what's good for the industry.
It's important to be NCBA members just because of what NCBA does. They keep us informed about a lot of things that are going on nationwide.
The reason we're an NCBA member is we think that it's the best voice that the cattle people have.
Join NCBA today. Head to beefusa.org or call 866-USA-BEEF.
You know, there is a saying, hay lost in the field robs yield. That's why John Deere balers are designed with tightly spaced belts so you capture more crop in every pass. Compared to other balers with wide-spaced belt designs, John Deere balers let you put up more quality hay and put more money in your pocket. That's how we run. And that's why nothing runs like a Deere.
One of the great things about the beef cattle industry is seeing multiple generations work together to care for the land while planning for the future. And that's a key factor with our next story, where a ranching family is focused on a sustainable approach to their operation. Our Region 7 winners are from South Dakota.
It's late afternoon and the cattle are on the move at Copriva Angus. This commercial and registered Angus operation is located in northeast South Dakota on the edge of the James River Valley. Jim and Karen Kopriva founded the ranch and raised their son Lee and daughter Angela here. Today, Jim and Lee work every day to care for nearly 400 cows on 2,700 acres.
My wife and I bought this place here in '91. She is originally from this area, and so is her family. They've been here for 125 years. We started with 7 cows in 1984. And we've grown since then.
I'm the 5th generation. My dad and mom are the 4th generation. It is a family operation. Dad and I exchange labor back and forth and work together and make management decisions together.
Like many of their neighbors, the Koprivas were initially grain farmers. However, while much of the land in their area has been converted to crops, the Koprivas have bucked the trend and planted the majority of their acres back to native grasses.
There's cattle around, but we see an awful lot of ground being took out of the CRP and put back into crop production.
We realize that it's not the best suit for the land and the resources that we have available to farm it. And I think over the long term, it's really been beneficial to have grassland.
Rotational grazing has been key to maximizing production at Kopriva Angus. The Koprivas worked with NRCS to install over 20,000 feet of cross fencing, which has allowed them to increase their cattle numbers.
The main part of our grazing scheme is to always have acres of the operation resting, not getting grazed. And so if you have the ability through fencing and water development to focus a group of cows in an area of the pasture and then graze it and then move them to another area and rest the area that you had prior grazed, that really is beneficial.
It's pretty amazing to talk to neighbors that were here in the area before we started, to have them say how many head of cattle were on a certain area of grass. And now today we can have about 3 or 4 times that many just by simply managing the resources, by fencing off areas, rotating the area that they're grazing, and being able to just manage those resources.
We actually improved the grass and improved our income off of that land. And so we've been very impressed with it. It takes a little bit of management, a little bit of materials, but the payoff is far greater. It's well worth it.
The Koprivas know another key to a successful grazing system is access to water. They've built or renovated 35 dams and dugouts to improve grazing distribution.
We've learned to be better and better managers of water. We've also learned that a dugout or a dam is a very good investment.
They are extremely open to new possibilities and to new ideas as far as conservation is concerned. They've taken a look at not only what it will do for them in the short term, but what it will do in the long term as well.
At Kopriva Angus, they've made conservation a family tradition, and they're committed to creating a sustainable operation for future generations.
I hope that it continues to grow. I hope that we continue to learn from our environmental decisions, our stewardship decisions.
It pleases me that our management allows me to do what I know is right and protect the grass and take care of it and manage it and use it and still have the lifestyle I desire.
I think it's our duty here on earth to take care of the resources that we're given, and I really think that being a good steward is just part of life. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. If you can use the resources you have and take care of them, things will work out and you'll be working with Mother Nature instead of working against her.
You can see video replays of all the stewardship winners anytime. Just visit our website, cattlemen@cattlemen.org. We'll have more right after this.
There are many great reasons to join NCBA, and that includes exclusive NCBA member discounts and benefits from some outstanding companies.
Hi, this is Kerry Bastine, President of Roper Apparel and Footwear, Stetson Apparel Boots, and Tin Hall. We are very proud sponsors of the NCBA, And for all new members signing up with the NCBA, you get 50% off your first purchase. And for all Go Forward members, you get 25% off 4 times a year. Go to urbanwesternwear.com, click on the NCBA specials, use your coupon code for your first 50% off, and come back to Urban Western Wear all year long and use your 25% coupons that you'll find in the National Cattlemen's newspaper.
Big discounts on boots, clothing, and Western apparel is just one of the many amazing deals you get as an NCBA member. Don't miss out. Join NCBA today and enjoy these exclusive member discounts. Find out more at beefusa.org.
Horn flies are a nuisance and a production loss, so getting rid of the problem is important. What I like about the vet gun is you don't have to go out there weekly to treat them with a topical fly applicant. It has some duration, it lasts. You see the increase in weight gain, it just works. I've used it on our 1,500 cow-calf operation, and it makes me more confident in saying, hey, this product's gonna work on your operation too.
We know who made that hitch. We know who cut the steel, who milled the ball, and who welded the seams. We know who tested, measured, and checked. We even know who thought the whole thing up. We're B&W, and we know your hitch. Because we don't make them halfway around the world. We make them all right here. B&W. Trusted.
When I hear a truck pull up in front of the house and the pandemonium of dogs barking would wake a hibernating mastodon, I relax. It's only my neighbor DK come to borrow something of his back. Now, he doesn't get this ferocious reception because he has the reputation of annoying domestic animals. It's because his dog usually accompanies him on his rounds. Now, my dogs even bark at his pickup when he drives in, anticipating that his dogs will be in the back. And on those rare occasions when he comes undogged, my dogs give him a withering glare and stomp off. It's like they're disappointed. After all, what else have they got to do? Go to the pasture and check out the cows? Sneak up on the creek in hopes of scaring the urea out of the ducks? I watched them the last time I went to DK's to borrow his bush hog. I turned in the drive, and DK's dogs surrounded the pickup, barking at the top of their dog lungs. My dogs were leaning out over the side like seasick fishermen, returning in kind, bark for bark. It was deafening. But I noticed DK's dogs never got quite close enough to touch noses, and mine knew just how far to lean to avoid actual contact. One might think it was all for show, protecting their territory, as if his were shouting, "Don't you dare get out!" and mine were screaming, "No way we're letting you jump in this truck!" Or they could just be visiting like old folks at a reunion. "How are you, Tex? I hear you got a new hearing aid. What kind is it? 4:15? Well, I've gotten to where I don't worry about it much. Dogs like to bark. It's their job description. And it probably doesn't irritate dogs near as much as it does us humans. They just communicate at different decibel levels, part of nature. It's possible even that aphids bark at each other, and we just can't hear it. But it must drive the ants crazy. This is Baxter Black from out there.
Thanks, Baxter. We always enjoy your stories. We'll have more when we come back.
Every truck can tow a boat. Every truck can climb a hill. Every truck can haul a trailer. But not everyone can say they're the fastest growing truck brand in America. Guts, Glory, Ram.
Mosey on down to Music City and the 2017 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. It's the cattle industry's biggest convention, and there will be a special event held at the Country Music Hall of Fame. Plus, Cowboys Night at the Grand Ole Opry. It's the 2017 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show in Nashville, February 1st through the 3rd. Visit beefusa.org for more.
For this week's Legacy Photos, we take one more look at some of the beautiful images on our Environmental Stewardship award-winning ranches. Don't forget, you can send us your own legacy photos by visiting our website, cattlemen-to-cattlemen.org. Include your ranch or farm name and hometown, and we may use them on a future episode. That's all for this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.